In this video, we're going to be looking at the print or plot command and window or dialog box. In model space now, I'll go ahead and go to a B size sheet. Now this, you're not here yet. You don't have this border and title block. I'm just going ahead and showing it to you. Print, in parentheses, it says plot. Plot is plot. Now I'm not real certain why they're still using that command, that term, simply because plotters were basically similar to printers. However, they actually used pins or other similar type instruments on the machine that the printer would go grab it. It may be a specific color, black, red, blue, whatever it may be. Additionally, they would have different pins for different line weights, different thicknesses, and so again, the machine would grab each pin, and then the paper would be rolling back and forth or moving back and forth through it, while the pen, somewhat stationary, would then strike the lines or plot the lines on the paper. Now, today, technology, we have printers. We have wide format printers. They are inkjet. Almost all of them are inkjet anymore. And so again, I think they've just kind of caught on to the older term used just because of some of the older people who've been using it for years. They may be familiar with, or at least more accustomed to using that term and that command. Regardless, so we have print, we have plot. We also have the printer up here on the quick access toolbar on the application menu. We also have print, and hovering I see plot, batch plot, plot preview, page setup, which we'd already gone over, so on and so forth. Now I can't scroll up and down with my mouse is what I'm trying to do right now. There is a little arrow, you can barely see it, and that's what will go up and down. Edit plot style tables. It gets quite involved in here. I'm not going to use it from there. That's something you may have to explore on your own, at least knowing there are several ways of doing it. At this time, I'm just going to click on the quick access toolbar, and I have a window that I have seen before. If you recall, back when we were doing layout tabs down here for the different paper space layouts, we pulled up a page setup manager also through layout ribbon. We had a window. Now again, I told you at that time, this is almost identical to the print or the print and the layout page setup manager dialog box or window. This is considered both a dialog box or a window. They're identical, but there is one big difference. Earlier when we did page setup manager, if we changed some settings and we hit OK, it just simply saved those settings per that layout. In this case, I went through it via plot. You see it up here. If I change some settings or not, and I simply hit OK, it's going to plot. It's going to send the drawing to some one of the printers. In this case, it's going to want to create a PDF or an electronic copy of this print. If through here, through plot or print, I do change some settings, for example, I'm going to do just a letter size sheet here. And even though this is my B size layout, not too often that I'm going to do that. If I'm happy with this and I want to keep it this way, honestly, the most common thing would be to change which printer I'm using. Nonetheless, you change a setting. If you want to save this to your layout, such as if you did the page setup manager, then you would click right here, apply to layout, and then it saves it as such. If that's all you're wanting to do, you don't want to print yet, you can change the setting, go to apply to layout, and then hit cancel. Apply to layout saves it to that layout, and then cancel is canceling the actual plot itself. So in this case, you can do both, whatever it may be. Now I'll go change this back to tabloid, or in this case I haven't applied. I can just hit cancel if I want to make sure I don't screw up my settings. Come into plot again, and I'm going to verify. This should be print PDF, it should be tabloid, and it should be layout, which all is good. And again, layout is the white sheet. It is the what appears to be the white sheet or the paper. Again, it's not selectable, it's not an object, it's just kind of there to help out. If I want to double check and look at this, I can click preview. And there it is, and this should be exactly the way you want to see it. Now, if you notice, there's some things down here that are blank, and that is correct. They are blank. I'll talk about that here in a little bit, but if I'm done with this, I either right-click and hit exit, or I can click close, and that will bring me back to that print or plot dialog box or window. And so again, that was preview to double check. Now cancel this, and you see I do in fact have text here. If you notice that per when we were creating layers, both my no print and my viewport are both blue. And those are the only things I normally have as blue. And the reason is that's saying, hey, when you see blue, Maple, you should know this is not going to print. And so that's why all of these that were blue were blank when you saw the print preview. Additionally, it's to say, hey, this isn't going to print. You need to edit this. You need to change whatever it is. I need to change the dates to when that was drawn, when it was checked, when it was approved, double check the material, the finish. All of this information is something I need to update per this drawing, per this project. And after I change them, for example, I do change the title here, the project title, then I would put it on the text layer, and now you see it. And if I do a print and a preview, you will see that I have that text there. So again, a few reasons why I have those with the no print layers. So I'm going to cancel that, and I will undo and undo. That puts it back on the no print layer, and I will zoom all. And I'm going to do a couple viewports, or a viewport. And again, I can type viewport. I can go to layout, and you know what? I'm going to do the polygonal this time. And I'll just go ahead and this happens to be the center of those arcs. Honestly, it doesn't matter. I'll even go past and past, past. And I'm just going to randomly put them in here. And I'm going to move this over until it looks good. Double click outside of it, change this, bring it back in. I'll probably have some notes down here. Now that looks horrifically the way I want it. Now another thing, if I print, by the way, that's red. Why is that red? Well, it's because I'm currently in the dimension layer. That is a viewport. I have a layer for viewports. It's right down here. It's also blue. What's that mean? That means the viewport itself, the lines of the viewport, will not print. Let me show you. As I do a preview, I do not see, now you see this circle here had been clipped. ASDF has been clipped or cropped or cut out, but yet I see no lines framing in the viewport. If I exit here and cancel, there you see why ASDF has been cropped. You see why this circle here has been cropped or cut, because of the border of my viewport. So if that is important to you, then this is one good reason why using a polygonal instead of a rectangular viewport helps or is useful, because then you can be real specific about what you're showing and what you are not. But again, viewports, in my opinion, should be left as a no print. Again, different companies, different standards, different ways of doing things. If I want additional lines in here to divide up my sheet for other little windows from one part to another, which is not at all uncommon for mechanical drawings, then I'm going to go ahead and create a line, such as maybe another border layer. Now this one here is a polyline, but you see that the color by layer, and the layer is Z border. You also see it here, Z border. There is something else I want to do, and this is the only other thing I'm going to mention so I can get this window or this video completed. Again, back to print. So I have, now this would be like previous plot. You can name certain plots. Again, the primary three items: what printer, what paper size, and what are you printing. I do have, again, another thing down here: drawing orientation, portrait, landscape, verify that. We can get into print scale or plot scale. Right here, this side, and sometimes like this arrow here. If yours looks like this, it looks like a smaller window. Right down here is an arrow. Click that to expand it. It gives you more settings. And right here, pin assignments or plot style table. Right now it is none. What that means is this refers to the colors of the objects and the layers that you've created. If I do none, if I could print this to a color printer, it will print the red as red. It will print this magenta as magenta, blue as blue, so on and so forth. Well, blue will be a no print. But if I send this same drawing to a black and white printer, like what I believe is in the classroom, it is going to be trying to print colors on a black and white printer. So what it's going to ultimately do is kind of be a grayscale. The reds will be a lighter gray. I believe yellows might even be lighter still. And every color is going to print on a certain shade of gray. Drop this down. You see there are some others. There's AutoCAD, CTB. These are your different pin assignments. Pins being, for example, on the old plotters. I told you that old plotters actually used pins. And so these pin assignments are now referring to the colors. Here there's also grayscale, which I use often. Monochrome, mono being one, chrome being color. Won't get into the screening. You can even create your own. I don't recommend it. What I do, the reason I do recommend at least acknowledging this or identifying this is I've received drawings from engineering companies. They forgot to change their pen assignments. Since people like to draw on a dark gray or a black background in model space, yellow is a very common color to be drawing with. It looks nice and vibrant, very clear and easy to see. However, if this is not changed, when they print to a color printer, yellow is going to be next to impossible to see. You may actually have to hold it up at an angle to see it. So again, grayscale, monochrome probably being the most common. So if you have a lot of colors, you're going to be printing to a black and white printer, then monochrome is the one you would want to use. And then apply layout, okay, cancel, whatever it may be. Here are a few other options: plot and background, line weights, plot object line weights. If this is not checked, your other line weights, those objects that have a thicker line weight, will not print thicker. Plot transparency, if you have something that is transparent, a lot of times my imagery I'll use as a transparency. If this is not clicked, then it will print it nice and bold and opaque. Plot styles, paper space last. That's really about it. So I'm going to end it here.